Hello and welcome back. So I'm still dismantling the wiring for the railway, quite slowly as it happens, but we are sort of getting there. We'll probably just leave that there for the moment. If you have a look under the baseboard, you can see quite a nice bare patch where I've got the wire out, mostly on the middle of the railway there. Begun to clear many things from underneath, so we've just got a few boxes left. The old Midland Flyer train set and a couple others sitting up there, so we'll just have a look how we're doing above the baseboard. So if we have a look underneath here, just to take note that there isn't enough battens under here to give it support, and that's in the long run has given me some of the problems I've begun to run into. If you look at this join here, it sort of isn't flat anymore, sort of goes up and then down, and that's sort of illustrated quite nicely, I think, if you have a look at the rails there. I don't know whether you can actually see it going up and then down. You can see these rulers don't lie flat. You can look at that, and if I run that up, you can see how much that actually rocks. So these boards all sort of bend down in the middle, bow down. It's just my poor planning, really. So next time we'll have more battens, but one of the reasons there weren't so many battens is I was afraid of sort of running into problems, and I wanted to put cabling in, but I think we'll be braver than that and just drill through them this time when we need to. As you can see, that is really quite severe there. Let's just have a look at that one there. That's quite a rock there, so that's really a problem here, but more so once you get to the point work there, and it's quite severe over here too. Let's just have a look out the side of the engine shed here. You can see the light flickering in the background. I think one of my lights is about to go. You can see that's quite severe there. We can get down and see that. There's quite a bend in there. But hopefully with my new baseboard, we'll have it much more level, more battens, better material, I think plywood instead of the chipboard. But it's coming on. So what I'm hoping to do is get the far end of the layout clear in the next day or so, and then we're going to have a look at this set running. So if we just have a quick look at this set I've got over here. So we've got this great little starter set. I believe it could have been called the Junior Goods set. It's got this great little blue locomotive in there. So let's just drop this on the table. Perhaps drop's the wrong word. So let's just have a look at the side of the box. So that's a RS.71, and that's possibly some pricing scribbled on the side of it there. You can see the effects of tape. It's been sealed and resealed a few times. But strangely, on the other side of the box, it's got RS.43, so I believe there was a clockwork set featuring a locomotive which looked very similar to this. Looks like the North British diesel, doesn't it? So, the green one. So let's just whip off the lid and have a look. But this is indeed an electric one. You can see where the key would have gone there. So I think we've just got a circle of track here and these three models. So let's just have a quick look at these. I'm just going to have a glance at some notes for a second here. So I think the locomotive has a model number of R645, although I don't think it was ever available in this colour as a solo model. It's depicted with a BR decal there. I'm not sure whether it could have been available with that as well. And I think this made it into the Battle Space range in bright orange as well. So I think this is just a basic R10 open wagon, although it's unprinted. I think this is a long-running wagon, printed or unprinted, I think, and came along in the late 40s from what I read, and was available right through until the 1970s. And again, an R16 brake van, unprinted again. nice looking thing. It has got a little damage on one corner of the roof there, but apart from that, it just looks like the R16 brake van. I think that ran from the early 50s through to the late 60s. And we've got a circle of first radius track there. It's in fairly tidy condition. When I got the set, it was missing these little corner pieces that hold the track in, so I've just made those out of cardboard. So I think this set was probably available between 64 and 66, and the clockwork variant, I think possibly a similar time. So I was going to get this completely clear before I put the set down and jump back into video here, but I thought it was worth perhaps a quick look as I've removed some of these items. And we can see I've got some of the track sections here. I've decided to leave the sidewalls on most of it, just to reduce the risk of breaking them, as I will more than likely use these again. But I've taken them on this piece. This is the piece which went over the flyover, the bit that ran over the track on the corner of the layout there. And in a video a long time ago, I think I said that the joint between the two rails, two different curves there, I had soldered it to try and stop the flex in the track, because it was a little bit of a stretch over the track there. There was it could have had an extra pier in there, so that's done the job over the approximate 3 years, and it's kept it quite good. The only thing that really suffered on there was the Hornby 00 models, which were just a little bit on the heavy side, but they're also just a little bit on the heavy side for the suspension bridge. So this is probably the ropiest piece of track that I had on the layout. If you have a look there, that's where I soldered in the power feed for the elevated section. Ooh, it's just gone out of focus there. Just have a look at the condition of the track. So I haven't cleaned these. Not for a week or so ago, since I was last using the railway. So I don't clean them every day, and perhaps 2 or 3 times a month on average, probably cleaning the rails, so they're in pretty good shape. You can see there is a little rust crept in on that fish plate or rail joiner just in there, but that may have more to do with the flux in the soldering process. I think has encouraged that, because that's the rustiest fish plate on the entire layout. So let's just have a look down the other section of track there. When you get to the end of it there, see that one, that's a much nicer condition, isn't it? And you can see on the edge of the rails there where the fish plates grip into the side. So fairly tidy. Let's have a look at a piece that had the sidewalls on. There we can see it's in fairly pretty condition, that rails, isn't it? Obviously you're getting a bit of scratching on the centerboard there. When you clean the rails occasionally, you run the track cleaning car around there, but not too bad. Let's have a look at the underside there, how all that clips together. So I'll definitely be using these sort of second radius curves again at some point in the future for an elevated section of one sort or another. So just pop that down, and there's a double straight, all nice tidy condition. Let's have a look at the ends of the rail there. I don't know whether we can keep focus on that. All fairly tidy. And there's a single straight. So just leave them as they are, really. All fairly nice looking stuff. I keep saying that, but then they've worked fairly well. I suppose they do turn into sort of high resistance joints. If there's too much flex in them, you get a little bit of dirt in them and so on. It could account for some of the slight areas of power fade maybe. It had begun to fade a little bit, lose a little power on the way down the incline section here. So I don't know whether one of these joints, either that one or the one we've just been looking at on the single straight there was in here, had begun to sort of create a bit too much resistance in that piece there. There's the first point out, and this one had the switch for the colour light signal. And again, that's in fairly nice shape. I did have to file the top off the rail there quite early on. I think one of these short rails, I think it's actually that one. Let's hold that a bit closer. It always sat proud of this plastic frog here, so it made stuff jump off, but that was solved fairly early on. This one has some extra trap pins in it just to hold it down. You can see the hole there, and the point motor had a trap pin in it as well to hold it down, but it's in fairly tidy condition. I did have an accident at one time with it here where I'd sprayed a lubricant on it instead of a solvent cleaner. I used this spray cleaner. Where are we? This one. I quite often use it on motors and wheels and bearings and so on the locomotives, but also sometimes on the bits that move in the points there, can reliven things up. And one day I grabbed this one instead, which is made by the same people, but this is a lubricant rather than just a cleaner, and it leaves it slightly greasy. So my heart fell when that happened, because obviously it made the track all greasy as well. But I think we lived through that one fairly well. But you can still see the stain in the board there. So some of this track's already coming out, and we'll get on with the rest of it. These lovely little, what they call quarter pieces, but I don't think they're an exact quarter. Let's have a look. So we've got a straight there. Let's see if they are an exact quarter. There's 2, and there's another 2. Oh no, there might be an exact quarter. I just had to put the camera down there and clip 4 of these together, just to have a look for sure that they didn't make an exact quarter. And as I suspected, they are just a little bit short of a quarter. If we look at that, it's not very scientific, is it? You can see the difference in the colour in the rails. That's a nice shiny new one, and this one's lost its tin plating by the looks of it over the years. And there's one part lost. They are all in different conditions. I think this one's lost. One of them's lost an end, one of the half sleeper ends there as well. But interesting to see that. I think I've got another one here which is in really lovely shiny condition. Have a look at that. Very, very shiny. Even the plastic looks shiny on that, doesn't it? Must be a very late one. So they're really useful things, these on the layout. So anyway, we'll get back to dismantling that, and I'll get that all cleared so we can get that little set down there in one of the clippers, and we'll give it a bit of a run. See, she runs relatively smoothly, doesn't she? Just need a little bit of light oiling. Just have a swift look over that. Looks like it's possibly a homemade collection pickup spring on the bottom of there. But apart from that, she runs in fairly tidy condition. So I'll just pop that down. And you can see I've got a circle of track all laid out there, and you can see the marks where the baseboard has darkened around the original the track that's been laid down. So this one in the middle here, that is the original layout which went down, the track which went down with a Series 6. So it's been down a lot longer than the Super 4 that was around this edge here. So I've got track right out to the bridge there, and all the way down there I've got the turntable shifted. So it's been a fairly busy time. So lots of track and stuff there to store away. But that's for another time. The wiring's coming out, just the wiring under the far side and the controllers, and I've pulled out one clipper, and so I've got 4 of these in action on, well, did have 4 of those working on the layout before. So let's just have a quick look at these catalogues. So this little blue diesel was in a clockwork set that it seems to have come along in 63. So this is the 64 catalogue, and there doesn't seem to be any mention of the RS.71 electric version of the set. She's got great red wheels and does sort of look to have a decal there. We'll just close that one. I'll put that to one side. So that's the 64 catalogue, an unusual cover, I think, compared to the rest of them. Lovely looking car. And then there's the 63 catalogue, Electra, part of the Highwayman set there. Lovely catenary and that excellent illustration with that almost sort of lightning bolt to depict electricity there. And now we've got the RS.43 clockwork set there, noting that she wasn't sold with buffer heads in there. But we'll just pop that to one side. Again, it's probably a more sort of what we expect sort of cover, perhaps. Perhaps that's not quite the right words. Let's have a quick look at the bodywork of this model. She doesn't have a securing screw as such. The coupling holds the plastic body onto the metal chassis, and I believe this chassis was developed for the steeple cab to produce the catenary range in the end. It ended up on the little 040 industrial locos, Nelly, Connie and Polly and so on, and models into the 70s. And these few diesel models which were produced, there's the green North British one. Have a look at the insert picture, use the same body moulding. And I think, as I said earlier, this found its way into bright orange for the battle space range. So it's quite a nice amount of detail on it. This does have a tiniest bit of damage on it. Excuse my fingers there. We've got Triang's names. I'm doing this one-handed here today, sadly. It just the way it's transpired. Triang's name and built in Britain. A little bit of oil splatter there, but one of these areas around the steps has a slight crack in it, although it's not that side. I suppose you could put buffer heads in there if you wanted to. There, you can see the slight crack there just under my knuckle there. But it's had a bit of an accident at some point, and something sticky's been on it there, which is well ingrained into the plastic, sadly. But quite nice grills on the front, isn't it? So I think I'll get that reassembled, and we'll get it around this circle of track. So I'll have to put the camera down to do that. So there she is, all back together now. If we just have a look at the underneath there, you can see how that coupling holds the chassis and the plastic bodywork together. If you look in the insert picture, you can see it all sort of going back together. And we've got the two parts of the metal chassis poking through the two little oblong holes just above where the buffers would be. I think we should just pop this on the track and give it a little power. So we'll get that one on there. There is a tiniest bit of effective magnet adhesion, even though this model doesn't really have a magnet adhesion magnet. The magnet is so close to the drive wheels, there's a little effect, a tiny little effect there. You get some sort of stick to the track. If you watch this, it'll pull it up a little way. So there is some stick to the track. So I would imagine if you put one of those newer style, the name escapes me, strong magnets which are for sale for these motors now, you could get quite a lot more pulling power out of your model, although that is fairly significant, isn't it? So let's pop that in there. I think that was an unintended consequence of the design, but useful all the same, but could be improved with a more contemporary magnet perhaps. So let's see if we can give this a little power. So grab the controller and wind it up a little bit. Off she goes. Slight rattle of the plastic on the metal bodywork there. And let's just follow that around for a moment. So this would be great on Christmas Day or your birthday, wouldn't it? But I can imagine if a catalogue was included in that box, you'd be looking through the catalogue, thinking of all the other things that you might want to make a layout with. I think, as many of us have found, it's a never-ending list. There's always just something else that we might want, just something else that would look good, or you think of a good use for, or just something that looks very pretty. So I think that looks pretty good. So we'll bring it around again, we'll bring it to a stop at the front here. And then we'll just give her a run in the opposite direction. So let's give her a little power. A little bit of a jump into life there, wasn't there? Hear all those wagons crashing together. So you could soon liven this up with a few extra wagons, couldn't you? Maybe a signal or a tunnel perhaps. A little bit of a stutter on the track there. You can see the track isn't in the best of shape. We're missing quite a lot of sleepers. I think that's enough in reverse. And let's just have a quick look at the track there. You can see it's fairly ropey old stuff. It's quite dirty, some of it, and we've got quite a number of sleepers missing all the way around, so it's seen a bit of action. Some fairly uneven gaps between the rails. Let's have a look round there. Another missing sleeper, and you see the corner of the roof on the coach there. Accident at playtime perhaps, but it is what it is. It's a nice little set. I don't think I've had this set in the video before, but it'd be a long time ago if I did. I know I've had another clockwork type setting and with an electric version of the locomotive, the little top tank I think it was. So let's just give her a little bit more power and go forwards this time. Definitely smoother on the start forward, I think. But I think that's probably it for this week. If you look back again next time, I'm getting the words mixed up, we'll have something else to look at, although I'm hoping that this baseboard will be completely out and the Operation Paintbrush, will be in full swing. I'll be painting the room white. It's sort of a magnolia type colour, off-white at the moment. I'm thinking if it's white it'll help me out with the colour balance when shooting videos. But I'll have the rest of this all out, the track all boxed away, ready for use at a later date. And hopefully maybe some of the timber in and beginning to be cut, maybe. Might be being a bit ambitious there, but thanks again for watching. It really is hugely appreciated, as well as all of those comments that many of you are taking the time to write. I really do enjoy reading those, so thanks again, and see you next time. Just have a swift look at this illustration just to finish off. I think that is the Triangirder Bridge there, isn't it, in the background. Sorry, I got distracted as I was saying goodbye.